as long as you're self-aware about your weaknesses and you can compensate for that, don't necessarily be like the average bachelor and be like, okay, I'm gonna now take a course on how to be better at something that you're not good at. Double down on the things that you're good at, but make sure that you're self-aware on the things that you're not so good at so that you can be an overall a more effective person. This is Better Wealth with Caleb Guilliams. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Better Wealth Breakdown, where we break down ideas, concepts, and thoughts from around the world to help you live a more intentional life. In today's episode, we're going to talk about why you should not be an employee.
That's right. And this concept comes from Andy Grove's book, High Output Management, which is, I think it's a great book. Most people may not think it's a great book, but Andy Grove was the founder of Intel and is known to be one of the most prolific businessmen of Silicon Valley and of that era. And what he talks about is, and I think this is so applicable to today and just the current environment with COVID and the job market and all those things, is you really are a business of one person and one employee, and that is yourself.
Yep.
You know, you might be an employee technically in a company of 10,000 people, but you really have to think of like you are a business of one, and you have to think of like your skill set and what you're doing and the value that you're bringing as you are your own business. You are the CEO of your own business. And I actually think we talked about this a little bit on a podcast previously this year of like, how can you add more value? How can you make yourself more valuable? And again, whether you currently have a job, whether you're looking for your next job, whether you're looking to move up in your current company, this mindset of this, let's focus on what you're good at.
I love it.
And this is the reverse. A lot of times we're taught, let's focus on what you're not good at so you can get better at the things you're not good at. But I think the market has totally changed where we're measuring like, what is your competency of what you should be doing, not what you used to do. And I think that's a very old mentality to look at, like, look at all of what I used to do. And we talk about this a lot, and I try not to get caught up with that of like everything I used to do, because the question is, what are you doing today?
Right.
And I think if we simply focused on our areas of strength, like right now, we're this last year, and again, we're towards the end of the year, so I want to reflect a little bit. This last year was a pretty foundational because we shifted you out of the day-to-day meetings so that you can focus on the things that you're really good at. You are good at meetings, and you still do a few of them, but we were like, okay, Caleb's highest and best use is relationships, is speaking, is the podcast, is all the all these different things. And what can we do to bolster your strengths?
Right. Couple things. So when Jeremy talks about household economy, whether you don't think of your personal life as an economy, but we should be. And the same concept is, you might not be a business owner. You might not be an owner of any company. You may work for a company or somebody, but we still need to take a step back and say, how can we be the owner of our own life? The other book that we talked a little bit about is Extreme Ownership. I mean, we broke that down in our company because it's very clear that as everyone that's on our team needs to be taking extreme ownership, and we challenge you guys, take extreme ownership of your life, of where you're at, different money decisions that you're making. The other common theme that you'll get is everything that we talk about, especially Dan and I on the show, are very much themes that we're bringing in to Better Wealth, and the theme that we're bringing into our meetings with our team. And we are growing. And one of the things that we very much need to be aware of is, hey, we're bringing you on, but you are an owner of this project. You are a part owner of Better Wealth. And that mentality is extremely empowering. And I think it bleeds into almost every area of our life, especially as it relates to money and thinking about it in the context of your household economy and taking ownership of that.
Well, and it's also like you're passing around the book Who Not How right now.
It's a great book.
I think that's so important is what we're doing actually ourselves is we're shifting around some people within the company to focus on, they're the right person, and they are the who. Now the question is, how are we going to unlock their effectiveness? And that's something that I think more people need to focus on is how do we find the person's strengths and actually ask that question. I think maybe we should ask that ourselves is like, what are my strengths? How do I perform? How do I work best? What are those things? And then how can you best bolster those? And that's really what is so important to the people that are on the BetterWealth team is like, how can we help you be most effective in what you're really good at?
Yeah.
And I think that's what is part of the secret sauce as to why what we're building here is so special, is because people really are working within their unique abilities, and the people that are interacting with them from the outside, they can sense that.
Yeah. And we also translate that over as we help people with money, is we spend a lot of time up front getting really clear on, Dan, what makes you happy? What makes you tick? The clients come in like, what are you good at? The other thing that I want to say, and this, I heard this pre-BetterWealth. It was actually listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, and he can be very abrasive, and he has a lot of good thoughts, but he swears a lot. But he's like, you have to be self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to employ empathy, but you have to be self-aware in what you're good at. And he challenges everybody that's listening. He's like, go to the people that you love the most and tell them nothing will change. Like, I will love you. Like, I will love you a lot, no matter what you say, but what am I good at? And what do I need to improve? And just really get self-aware. And his whole deal is, as long as you're self-aware about your weaknesses and you can compensate for that, don't necessarily be like the average bachelor and be like, okay, I'm going to now take a course on how to be better at something that you're not good at. Double down on the things that you're good at, but make sure that you're self-aware on the things that you're not so good at, so that you can be an overall a more effective person. And I like to say that we take that concept to how we help people with money, because it takes a lot of empathy and listening and saying, listen, this is what I hear you saying. This is what you're good at. Why don't you double down on that?
That's totally right. And I love that you said that, because a lot of times people are coming in, they're like, man, the world is telling me that I need to do this, and I need to do real estate investing, and I need to invest in this, and I need to find this private placement, and I need to do all these things. It's like, hold on a second. What do you actually enjoy doing?
Exactly.
I just spoke to someone yesterday, and that they just have this burning thing in them that the world is telling me I need to be entrepreneurial, because that's apparently like what is really in the news.
I'm watching a video saying not to be an employee.
Yeah, exactly. I need to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, and I just asked the question back, is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
And the answer was no. And so the question is, well, what do you want to do? Well, it turns out her husband runs his own business, and that's what they enjoy doing. So it's like, well, what if we could help you save for the future and invest in that business? And to your point, double down in that and focus on what you're good at. You shouldn't go do real estate if that's not what you're good at.
Yeah.
You should focus on what you're good at, and you're going to find way better results, and you're going to be way happier through that process.
So what should we have people comment in the comments?
I would love for you to comment what you're going to focus on and what you're going to get better at, and what is your strength? What is that thing? Whether it's your own skill, whether it's an opportunity, like whether it's in relationships, wherever it is, I would love to know, like, what are you focusing? What are you doubling down on to get better at, and to focus and to really increase your effectiveness?
Focus on your strengths, double down on that, become more self-aware, keep living intentionally. Thank you so much for listening to the BetterWealth podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with the people that you know and love.